Several members of an international terror network have been arrested, accused of helping drug cartels move massive amounts of cocaine through the United States and then using the money from the drug deals to buy weapons to use in Syria. The Drug Enforcement Administration is calling it narco-terrorism, and Hezbollah has become the first target in a number of their investigations. Justice reporter Paula Reed joins us now from Washington to explain how this all works. So, Paula, what is the DEA alleging?
Vlad, here the DEA is targeting this network, which, as you said, uses the proceeds from cocaine sold mostly in the U.S. and Europe, launders that money to support Hezbollah in Syria, where, of course, they are supporting the Assad regime. Now, specifically, the DEA says members of a component of Lebanese Hezbollah developed business relationships with South American drug cartels that supply massive amounts of cocaine, specifically in the U.S. and Europe. They then launder the proceeds of those drug sales in a way that primarily benefits Hezbollah and allows them to purchase weapons and fund their terror activity. Again, conducting terrorism can be expensive, and we all know the drug trafficking can be extremely lucrative, which is how you get this nexus of drug trafficking and terrorism the DEA is specifically targeting.
Now, Hezbollah has been listed by the U.S. as a sponsor of terrorism since 1997. Why is the U.S. law enforcement now targeting Hezbollah?
You're seeing a wide range of law enforcement actions against Hezbollah, specifically its revenue streams and its financial infrastructure. So in addition to sanctions issued by the Treasury, sanctions issued last week, you're also seeing this investigation, which actually began about a year ago. And the DEA says that it, in cooperation with its international law enforcement partners, uncovered this network of couriers who are actually bringing the proceeds of these drug sales to the Middle East.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It was reported back in November of last year. Israeli intelligence estimated there was a 50% increase in missile stockpiles that Hezbollah had. The question is, how can the U.S. benefit from this investigation?
That's a great question, Vlad. Now, DEA argues that, of course, you want to go after any kind of network that is helping to facilitate the importation of drugs here to the U.S. and an organization that has a history of anti-U.S. sentiment and has carried out attacks against U.S. interests. But some experts I've spoken with also said when you aggressively take on an organization like this, it can also put you more squarely in its crosshairs. But the DEA argues that this is ultimately making the U.S. safer.
And what are your sources telling you about the rest of this operation? I mean, should we expect to see more arrests in the coming days?
In this particular wave of this investigation, we haven't seen any charges filed here in the U.S. besides, again, those Treasury sanctions from last week. But sources say there are some cases in the works, and we could potentially see cases filed here in the U.S. soon.
All right, Paula Reed digging into this story for us. Thank you so much, Paula. Appreciate it.